So I would imagine that a big contributing factor to quality, other than having an awesome product, is going to be how you communicate your offer, both in the ad and the post-click experience, creating landing pages for lead gen campaigns.
Yeah, number one mistake that I see people make is the page is not clear. It should be like the most succinct page you've ever put together in your life. And it should like realistically have just the field for the email and a headline that keeps it really tight and re-explains why they've clicked through. So if that's like reserved stock, hammering that home, maybe an image or just like a fully background image. But you want to make it as easy as possible. Like the minute you ask more than like 3 questions, people just drop off. So if you can like get the field down to only an email address, that's definitely best practice.
Welcome, everyone. This is All Killer, No Filler. We're joined yet again by Avery. Welcome back. This is our third installment of our Q4 series. And if you missed the first two, we talked about creative testing, what the hell it is and how to use it. And on our first one, we talked about offer testing leading into Q4. And we got a special one today. And Avery, you get all the credit yet again, because this was your concept that you brought to the table. So welcome back.
Thanks. Yeah. I feel like I've been like just thinking about like what was I like on the struggle bus when I was like working through my first Q4. And so I've come up with like all of these topics so far. It's like what was keeping me awake at night when like little baby Avery was going through her first Q4? What stressed her out the most? And then I've just been turning those into podcasts.
So why don't I just let you set this up, because I think you'll probably be able to articulate this best and what we're going to talk about.
Yeah. So we're basically going to talk about how to sort of either like maximize this next period of time in Q4, which is like late October to sort of early November. So how to maximize that time or get really, really efficient. So one thing that starts happening this time of year is delivery costs go up. Your CPMs are probably going to start climbing, but there's this weird situation in the beginning of November, especially where obviously Black Friday is not a surprise event at this point. Like everybody knows it's coming. Everybody knows that like retailers are going to be offering huge discounts. So intent plummets, things get more expensive to run. What do you kind of do with that? I think a lot of the times people don't factor this period of time into Q4 planning, because you just think like, oh, Q4, like we're going to like gains, it's going to go crazy. But there are these like weird considerations of windows where like performance could start slipping. And then that really affects how you approach Black Friday if you like lose momentum and start running really inefficiently. So we'll talk about how to either like maximize if you're like really wanting to just like drive revenue, or how to sort of start getting really efficient and like queuing yourself up for a good Black Friday period if you want to keep more of an optimized approach to things.
So what I'm hearing is it's a common misconception that Q4 is a gradual upward slope towards the holiday season until Q1 starts. But where in reality, it's actually a bit of a roller coaster throughout Q4 as sales periods go up and down.
Yeah, it's like not just a straight linear graph. It's definitely there are peaks and valleys of Q4, even though most of it's like those peaks and valleys exist in like a period of peaks, but they definitely exist. And you have a lot more to like lose too if you kind of don't think about these things.
So what I take from that is there's probably two camps of people, some that may have navigated this time before and understand that there's going to be ups and downs. And there might be some people that are a little bit intimidated, maybe scared heading into this time. And to those people, what do you have to say?
Yeah, it's kind of, it is scary, but it's also not, because yeah, like I said, it's like there's peaks and valleys, but also those exist in like a heightened period. So there's definitely like, it's easier if you start to lose ground, in my opinion, during Q4. It's easier to like make it back up. But if you really like lose track of kind of what's going on and get disorganized, then it can be obviously like pretty catastrophic not having a good Q4. And I think too this year especially, it's pretty important to keep momentum going towards Black Friday, Cyber Monday, and to figure out like, do I need to get more efficient, or do I need to like start driving more revenue with my spend? Because I feel like we kind of talk trash about Meta a lot on this podcast, but it's like you really want to set yourself up on the buying side for more success. Like you want to keep spend growing consistently, even if performance isn't maybe necessarily growing with it. So all that's to say, like you should have a really solid grasp on, do I need to, over the next few weeks, which is late October, early November, do I need to make as much money as possible? Or can I afford to start spending money on traffic that'll come back and purchase during Black Friday, Cyber Monday? So you kind of have to like really, if you are a business owner, look in the mirror and like be honest with yourself. Because a big mistake I see is people don't have either of those goals sort of like in mind and they don't have them clear. So if you don't have sort of like a clear vision of where you need to go or what you need to do with your dollars, then that's when things get a bit murky and it can be scary and bad.
Yeah, so let's unpack that a little bit. So, what should people be thinking about, and how to maximize their ad spend in in the next 30 days, let's say, leading up to Black Friday, Cyber Monday?
Yeah, one of my favorites. So I have a couple of examples of things that I like to do during this period of time to like drive up revenue, kind of like old tricks in the book. And some of them I'm doing now and they're cranking. So I was really excited when I was like taking a peek at Shopify this morning to do this podcast episode. So this first one I'm doing right now, like actively on an account, and it's working really well, which is creating ad exclusive bundles. This is super easy to do. I've seen a ton of different types of clients do this. So like different AOVs, different types of products, but basically taking a top performing bundle. Like I wouldn't go putting a bunch of weird things, weird SKUs together. Top performing bundle, switching out one or two of the items and then repackaging it as this ad exclusive bundle. So in ads, you're using language like, you won't see this anywhere else. Like this is only exclusive to kind of you, like lucky you, you found this exclusive bundle. Tons of like urgency and kind of like creating like anti FOMO in ads, like you're on the list, you got it. And then on the sort of post click side, tons of like countdown timers, tons of like calling out that this is a limited edition ad exclusive type of bundle. It's not going to be around for Black Friday, Cyber Monday. So if you want to get it, you have to get it now. And that's kind of like yeah, for me, like holy grail because it's really easy to set up. It's not like creating any product, it's not doing anything different or new. It's just taking what you have, offering a slight discount, and repackaging it as this like exclusive, limited time only bundle. And it's really easy to set up too. Like on Shopify, you just create a PDP and then you hide it from the site. It's like, it's super easy. It's a minimal lift, but like I was saying, I have it like cranking on accounts now. So easy to do.
How do you like what comes to mind when you're talking about building these urgency in the in the upcoming few weeks is, I think the consumer brain is probably being conditioned to know that Black Friday, Cyber Monday is going to be the best price, whether or not that's true. So when you say, we've got a sale in the next 7 days and it's the beginning of November, whether or not that sale is true, how do you basically address the fact that yes, this is the best price that you're going to get, or yes, this is in fact an amazing product price that isn't going to exist beyond the 7 day period? Like I feel like there's like a bit of a trust consideration there.
Yeah, there's a couple things. So if you can say it accurately, like if you are doing 20% off for Black Friday and you're going to do a 20% off like flash sale, like even starting early, like now, using language like Black Friday pricing works really well. And obviously, just not going back on that offer helps build that trust, but throwing that in, like this is the Black Friday pricing, works really well. And then the other side with these like ad exclusive bundles is like it just won't be here by Black Friday. So if you like have it in your power, you make like a limited quantity of things like that will sell out in 2 weeks. That's when you can really get into like it just won't be here. Like it's pretty plain and simple. You won't be able to purchase it if you wait for that Black Friday price. It'll just be like gone. We're only selling this for a short window of time. And that really I find moves people a bit more than like Black Friday pricing messaging. Because then I think sometimes too, like in the back of your mind, it's like, okay, well, I do like this thing, but I'll wait and look around at other things once they go on Black Friday pricing. But just saying full stop, it's not going to be here unless you click on it now. I have those countdown timers on my pages, 15 minutes for counting down. Like, unless you make this purchase now, you won't like get the opportunity to do it again.
Interesting. And what about your second tactic here?
Yeah, the second one is a bit of a like bigger lift, but depending on the product, like could be pretty easy to action. So it's limited edition product drops or like a product line. But again, like I was saying before, like Black Friday pricing does work really well, but just saying to someone, you won't be able to buy this, it's gonna be gone, works a lot better. So strategically like plotting these new products and really limited edition drops around this time works super well. So whether that's like a different pattern or just like a different color of something that's a top performer, that's what I tell clients too when we're maybe thinking about this stuff a few months out and we're starting to think like let's bring in some limited edition stuff for the first part of November. Um, yeah, we definitely usually work off of like what's an actual top performer, what do people want. Sometimes another big mistake I see people use is like trying to flog shit that nobody wants any time of the year during this time of year. It's like if nobody wants to buy it in March, nobody wants to buy it in November. It's a pretty good
In
rule
early
of thumb.
November.
Like yeah, nobody wants to buy it when they're waiting for Black Friday. So doing stuff that like people actually really like if it's like think kind of like the supreme, just like that drop culture of like they're basically selling the same thing with a different print. Try to kind of operate in those confines.
Yeah, I think we've done this with a number of different clients, and I feel like drops, product launches at that time of year tend to do really, really well. That's a great strategy.
Marketers, if you're finding yourself manually creating segments on Shopify and then waiting 20 minutes to download just so you can upload to Google, Meta, or Attentive to keep your audiences in sync, try Trestle Segments. Segments makes segmentation easy and profitable. Choose from pre-built audiences backed by data or make your own. Segments will keep synced across Klaviyo, Meta, TikTok, and more. They've just launched Filter GPT, so now you can segment using natural language. For example, just say, customers who bought during last year's holidays but ghosted since, and voila, it's done for you, ready for retargeting. Isn't AI wonderful? Try it today at trestle.co/DTC. That's TRESL.co/DTC for a special offer.
Okay, so what if you're in the category of people who don't have the opportunity to sell through inventory, don't have the ability to launch new products specifically for this time of year, or perhaps have like a ROAS efficiency goals that they need to keep in mind? What advice do you have for them?
Yeah. Usually the sort of go-to around this time of year is doing lead gen, and I've seen a lot of lead gen in my life. I've seen really good, like really well done lead gen, and also sometimes lead gen that you just start doing because you think you should be doing it during this time of year. So yeah, lead gen also is just basically like pretty simple. It's just lead generation. You're just trying to create demand further down the pipe, which is actual Black Friday. So there's a couple of like different ways to do lead gen. I really like to do it if I'm working with a higher consideration product. So anything that's like over that like $250, $300 mark, because chances are people aren't going to be purchasing that in sort of a one-click journey anyway. So lead gen when it makes sense in that sense. Also, I really think it's important to not just advertise like another email list that people can be added to. I feel like that's a big mistake too. I see a lot of people just want to run language like get access to our best sales of the year. It's like most people are savvy enough to remember if they want something and go back and get it. And most people like are trying to minimize the amount of digital debris in their inbox. So you have to make it a bit more compelling than just like we'll let you know when our sale is. So always making the pot pretty sweet, like giving them exclusive codes, like exclusive access to new product drops, or reserve stock is a really good one too. So if you do have something that is just sort of an evergreen product, sells out around Black Friday, whenever you put it on sale, just saying like, we've reserved 200 of these for our email list, we'll give it to them at the sale price, like the Wednesday before Black Friday, sign up to like be on that list, that type of thing, where they're actually going to get a benefit other than just an email the day that the sale goes live for everyone. I feel like that's, yeah, really important to remember. And then, oh yeah,
I was just saying, I love that strategy, the reserve stash for your VIPs, basically. That's such a real incentive. And that also would be a great opportunity. I'd be curious to hear what creative works well with some of these languages, but I would imagine actually showing like product like in the warehouse or in a polished way would work really well with that language.
Yeah. Yeah. If you're willing to get like down and dirty and scrappy, literally just pictures of products in warehouse or also the back of a truck, like uh, literally like if I've seen this work, like a FedEx truck or whatever you use, just like a bunch of product in there. I've seen also clients like have the like FedEx or UPS person like be in the ad, just like they get really excited. But it's also like a really easy thing to do. Like if you've got your warehouse manager, just say next time they're coming to pick up like a truckload of stuff, just take a picture. Maybe you'll get a like delivery person who's angling to be in an ad. Maybe not, but yeah, really easy and works really well with that type of language. If not, like I would just do like a really simple like product focused branded static with the overlay that like this does sell out every year, especially if you have like timelines on that. I love that. I love to put that in ads. So you can be like, this sells out in the first 5 hours every Black Friday, but we're reserving stock for X amount of people. It creates a like actual tangible sense of urgency instead of just like it might sell out, who knows? But if you like let them know that timeline, that works really well too.
Speaking of timelines, can you maybe lay out what that timeline looks like? So let's assume this is happening end of October, early November. What do these sales timelines look like, and when do they kind of come to an end leading up to Black Friday, Cyber Monday? Is it the case where it's like literally right up until the weekend, or is there, like a bit of a transition
Yeah.
period?
Yeah, it definitely depends on the client. Like I've seen clients basically run like 2 weeks of Black Friday starting mid-November. But there's also clients who only run it on like the weekend. So I feel like if you're kind of a purist and you're only going to be running actual Black Friday, Cyber Monday throughout that weekend, I'd probably like be doing lead gen up until like the week before. And then like I typically don't see lead gen taking a ton of spend away from actual like ads that are aiming to sell a product. But I feel like there is, yeah, you do want to make sure that you give yourself like a cushion to actually get things moving for Black Friday instead of like having all these dollars set aside for lead gen. And then, yeah, if you're just running like a ton of sales throughout, I feel like you can do them at the same time. So I'll see, like I said, clients just like either run Black Friday sales or they're just running a rotation of promos and offers throughout the entirety of November, with obviously the strongest ones being over Black Friday weekend. But if you're running these like just regular kind of like medium tier offers for all of November, I think it's still a good idea to be running lead gen at the same time as those like kind of mini promos.
And let's talk quality, because I feel like this is a really common piece of pushback that we get from clients when we talk about lead gen, or just generally when you're thinking about your lead gen strategy. But the actual emails that you're gonna get on the list, how do we ensure that they're qualified buyers, people who are actually interested in taking advantage of the sale?
Yeah, yeah, I think it depends on how you actually position the sort of like lead gen bait. So I like to think of it in two ways, which is the higher consideration products that are like over that 250 mark. So those ones usually will do like the yeah, like exclusive access, that type of thing. And I feel like that attracts much more qualified leads, as opposed to if I sell like a very expensive like piece of home gym equipment that you're only going to buy one time and I offer to give it away for free, that's going to attract people who maybe don't even have a home gym, but just think like, whoa, it would be really cool to get this piece of equipment for free. So if you do giveaways for products that are high consideration, high value, and also typically a one-time purchase, you're probably not going to get the most qualified leads because a lot of people will see that on Meta and just sign up to sign up because it's easy. And then on the flip side of that, I tend to feel like with the like lower consideration, just sort of you purchase on the spot products, so under like 250, under 100, giveaways are like totally fine, and um, they will create leads that might not immediately like convert when you send out your next email, but they are, I think, still like typically pretty valuable audiences. So I have a brand that's scaled pretty aggressively in the past year, and a really big part of that is lead gen and giveaways. So it's almost like a monthly thing that we do, and then we just use those leads to feed the funnel like a full ecosystem as well. Like we're retargeting them on Meta, but we're also hitting them with emails. And they've typically turned into customers down the line because it's an easy product to purchase. So I think the quality definitely comes down to like your actual product, if that makes sense. Because obviously, like a few lower quality leads in the mix when you're a lower consideration, lower AOV product, it's like eventually if you have a pretty dialed email situation going, you can probably convince people to buy something small. But I'd just be cautious with like giveaways and creating bad leads when you are a higher consideration product.
So I would imagine that a big contributing factor to quality, other than having an awesome product, is going to be how you communicate your offer, both in the ad and the post-click experience. I think it'd be helpful if you could walk through your process and our team's process on creating landing pages for lead gen campaigns and just any best practices.
Yeah, number one mistake that I see people make is the page is not like clear. It should be like the most succinct page you've ever put together in your life. And it should like realistically have just the field for the email and a headline that keeps it really tight and re-explains why they've clicked through. So if that's like reserved stock, hammering that home, maybe an image or just like a full bleed background image. But you want to make it as easy as possible. Like I've worked on accounts, like lead gen focused accounts, and the minute you ask more than like 3 questions, people just drop off. So if you can like get the field down to only an email address, that's definitely best practice, in my opinion. And then one thing I really like to do too is set up a sort of second step. So once you put in the email, there's a second step, which is a thank you page. And then on that thank you page, I always include any best selling or like low stock products. So it's kind of sometimes you can double dip with traffic where you get the lead, but and then also make a sale on the other side. And it's really just about like how you are merchandising stuff on that thank you page. So like I said, a lot of like low stock options are great. If something's about to sell out, really great to include in that page. Sometimes too, I've included like a sort of welcome offer on the thank you page, and then immediately has like we've got bundles and stuff that you can apply the welcome offer to. So again, it's just kind of like an extra incentive to purchase, although you've already become a lead to buy later down the line.
Do you find that content below the fold really has any impact on conversion rate or email capture?
No. Well, what I find is like the opposite. It's like having a ton of content below the fold will negatively affect email capture.
Interesting.
People like to look around and then maybe
get distracted.
Yeah. Yeah, because what can happen too is you can put content below the fold and it's a lot of like I don't know, just information about the product, and then you might go to the PDP and then you forgot what you were there to do and you close the tab and you do it another time. So I always like, just work off the assumption of like all you want to do on that first step is get the lead. Like that's all you want to do. And then you can do something fun and crazy and include a founder story or whatever you got to do on the thank you page. But that first page should be just the email capture form and almost nothing else.
We even think about this at DTC, like we're going through this right now, even as you sign up for the newsletter, like all of the value lies within capturing the initial email. And you really need to think about the value of each step of the lead gen process. So there's email, there's like a secondary offer or step in the process. In this case, like if you wanted to throw them the best selling discount offer or whatever it is on step 2. And then if you have anything beyond that, you kind of have to like try to quantify the value of each step and not blur the lines. Because even we've made that mistake at DTC in trying to push everything up front, and then you just, like you said, lose people's attention and conversion rate drops. So it's really good advice.
Yeah, sometimes you get like so excited about like, oh, well, I have all these like cool things that usually work on other pages. But yeah, from what I've seen with like, especially lead gen driven accounts, is like you just got to get in there and get the email. And then that, like I said, the thank you page is like when you can do what you got to do. But yeah, people like to click buttons and they like to put in minimal information. That's what I've learned. This is the summary of my time in, like this DTC performance space is like if you give people a button in the hero section, they will click it no matter what it is. So you better really think about the destination of that first button in your hero section because it's gonna get a lot of heat.
Very true. Okay, so that's all our notes. Any other tips or words of encouragement for people as they head into this period leading up to Black Friday, Cyber Monday?
No, I think just sort of what we said at the top, just figure out what you need to do from like a business point of view. So whether that is maximizing or optimizing your ad spend over the next few weeks, figure that out and then really treat that as like a North Star. Don't get distracted by what you see other brands doing. That's another thing. I'll have clients be like, oh, I saw a brand in a totally different vertical that makes millions of dollars more than us a year doing this thing. And it's like, that's probably working for their business case, but it's probably not going to work for you. So I think, yeah, just really narrowing on what you need to do and then doing it and not getting distracted is like the key to success over this time.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much for joining. It's always a pleasure. Wishing everyone the best of luck. And if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to contact us at Direct to Consumer, or if you want to get in touch with people like Avery and the Pilot House team to help you through this time of year, we're always available. Thanks, Avery. Appreciate it.
Thanks for listening to today's episode. If you're not getting the D2C newsletter, you can subscribe for free at directtoconsumer.co. And if you want to learn more about Pilot House's all-killer, no-filler services, take off to pilothouse.co. I'm Eric Dick, and this has been the D2C Podcast. We'll see you next time.